Welcome, feet pickers, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And tonight we continue our look back through the decades at Best Picture winners through the years, landing in the 1970s, firmly at the beginning of the 1970s, as we discuss the winner for Best Picture 1971, The French Connection.
Yeah.
Now, I know this was your excuse to finally get around to watching this movie, right?
Yes.
All right. So?
I really, really wanted to like it more than I did.
Okay.
I didn't hate it, and I can see why it was like a pretty groundbreaking film, but I have issues.
Okay. Excuse me. I feel like it's a weird one when you watch it with today's eyes.
Yeah.
It's really hard to try to understand how did this thing win Best Picture, especially I got to pull up the list here. It was going up against a lot of a lot of 70s heavy hitters.
This was William Friedkin's first fiction, first like feature film, right?
Yep. I believe so.
Because I think he mainly did like let me see. He wrote. No, he did a few films before that, but they're like just small little ones.
Okay.
And then he did a 1-2 punch of this one and The Exorcist, which is.
I know, and honestly, I've seen a lot of critique that say that he really should have won Best Director for The Exorcist. But
yeah, I could
over
see
George
that.
Roy Hill for The Sting, maybe. But it was like he had just won, so they weren't going to give it to him again.
Right. Yeah.
So
what did this beat out?
So all right, I'm pulling that up right now.
Right.
So, in terms of Best Picture, The French Connection beat out A Clockwork Orange.
Ooh,
Fiddler on the Roof.
Ooh.
What's that?
I like Fiddler on the Roof more than I like this movie.
Okay. The Last Picture Show. And Nicholas and Alexandra. So out of all of those, Nicholas and Alexandra is really the only one that didn't. It isn't like a vaunted gem of 70s cinema the way that everything else was.
Yeah.
And
this movie is like I was definitely expecting something different than what I got.
Okay.
I mean, first off, Gene Hackman is fantastic as Popeye Doyle.
Yeah.
But Popeye Doyle is not a good guy.
No.
He's not a likable character at all.
And that's the interesting thing about this movie. This movie is gritty. All right, how did Last Picture not win? Now, we're going to try to figure that out. I'm sure that there's some film theory behind why. It might just be that Peter Bogdanovich is just insufferable. Maybe. Sorry, he's no longer with us. Yeah. But this movie is really gritty. And I think that probably what won over a lot of Academy voters was the fact that this movie is really doesn't pull punches.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think back 2 years prior, you had Midnight Cowboy winning Best Picture as well.
That was 69?
That was 69, I believe. Yeah.
Wow. I thought that was 70s, honestly.
Nope. Midnight Cowboy is the 60s because Patton is in between.
Okay.
Patton is 1970.
Jesus. Patton just seemed like, Midnight Cowboy, French Connection, Patton. One of these things seems really much different than the other two.
Unless you actually watch Patton, because I feel like the movie Patton is all things to all people, because it's a war movie for the Hawks and it's a peace movie for the Doves. It really is a very interesting dichotomy of how that movie is it can be perceived. But with The French Connection, I think that this is way grittier than then Midnight Cowboy, primarily because it's not so much about the characters, it's more about solving the crime. Even though you need to say it's a movie, you need to have that central character, and Popeye Doyle is the central character. He and Cloudy are like the they are the central characters that move all the action.
And the thing is, like, if you watch Cloudy, I mean, for one, I love Roy Scheider.
I do too.
But Cloudy is actually a very competent cop. He's a good cop. He's a great investigator. He's actually one that goes into the stores, like does the and actually talks to the woman, and it's like, and he manages to track down the car underneath, and he completely throws Sal off the scent.
Yeah.
So he is the good cop in the way that Popeye is not, and yet he's also a fantastic partner because right in the beginning, the chief is like, like basically, do you agree with Popeye's assessment here? And Kylie's just like, I'm with my partner.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I'm saying about, like, this movie goes long periods of time without either of them in it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're off to France. We're off to Marseille, where, Fernando Rey and his gang of really old-looking goons.
And yet that whole scene, like that whole beginning part where you have that guy, the camera's following this guy, and then Charnier's henchman just shows up and shoots him. Like,
yeah,
I don't know who he is. I don't know why they shot him. And you never talk about that guy. Why was he even in the movie?
He was in the movie primarily because he was he was the cop that was trailing them first.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those little things. It's kind of a blink and you miss it mention.
Oh, okay.
About that as they are trying to put this deal together. What makes Popeye Doyle a great character, though, is the fact that he just doesn't give two shits about procedure or anything like that. I don't feel for 1 minute that this movie is a propaganda movie.
No. Like you've got those things where, like, people that everyone roots for, but they're really not likable characters, like the Joker. Not Popeye Doyle is absolutely one of those people.
Yeah, no, he's
that
absolutely an anti-hero.
I mean, seems to root for him, but you shouldn't really root for him.
He's a racist bully.
Yeah,
and that it's interesting because, I mean, it's just it's easy to kind of mistake Gene Hackman for being that person because he is phenomenal in this. He earned that Best Actor.
I was actually listening to the Cinephiles podcast episode about this on my way home. I guess they originally wanted Peter Boyle.
Yeah.
And he just done a movie called Joe.
Yes. Or a first, one of the first canon films. A racist NYPD. God, I'm glad it's not a thing anymore.
But apparently, after he done Joe, and when he saw people actually rooting for his character, he's like, no, you don't root for him. So he didn't want to do another type of character like that. So he moved on. He wanted to do more romantic comedies.
Didn't work out all that well for him.
No.
Because by that point, then he was doing stuff like, he was doing the movie Hardcore, where he plays like this real seedy private investigator.
Well, he's also Frankenstein in Young Frankenstein.
That's true. He is Frankenstein. He's the creature.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Get it right. But again, I feel like this movie is very natural in the way that it's shot. And I really feel like that might be how in 1971 it wasn't going for the sentimentality of Days Gone By. Like The Last Picture Show. The Last Picture Show is an absolute tragedy. But it's also shot in in black and white. It's got the long speeches and all that. It is a fantastic movie. And in fact, it garnered the 2 supporting actor wins.
Oh.
Yeah, Ben Johnson and Cloris Leachman both won.
Speaking of Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein, exactly. I was just thinking that.
But I mean, this one did win, Best Picture. Gene Hackman won for Best Actor.
Friedkin won for Best Director. This
Right.
one, I think, five Academy Awards.
Yeah, Scheider was nominated, but he did not win.
And lost to Ben Johnson.
Right.
So I mean, it's just it really, I think it works from that ground level. Just very little music, except, oh my God, the opening of this movie just slaps you in the face with sound, just straight out.
Yeah, it's like you're watching these like the whole scene where they're just keeping out watching the car.
Yeah.
And it's just complete silence, and suddenly you hear it's like,
yeah,
okay, I guess something's about to happen.
Yeah, there's more music now. Thank you, Lalo Schifrin.
Yeah. Silence. No music. Oh, okay, something's about to happen.
Yeah, but even like crowd scenes can be very confusing, and I feel like that really works with this too. It's just it really feels like, not so much that they were shooting without a script. They kind of were, even though this is based on a true story.
And I guess the guy that Popeye Doyle is based on, the cop, he was pretty much on set. Him and his partner were on set for pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah, and it works. I feel like the movie works in that aspect. That car chase, by the way.
Yeah.
What I love about that car chase, it's not one car chasing another car.
No, it's one car trying desperately to keep an eye on the subway.
Mm-hmm. Keep up with a transit car.
Yeah.
And it's so, the editing in that is so frantic. And you can feel like, I mean, Popeye's a hothead to begin with.
Yeah.
And I know how I get when I'm driving and I can't, the person behind me just will not figure out it's the vertical pedal on the right.
Yeah.
That, you can feel that. And the switches back and forth between the shifting and the brakes and the gas and the steering and smacking into stuff.
And having the camera like basically on the underneath the front bumper, that close to the road, it seems a lot faster than it probably actually was. But I've heard that Gene Hackman actually said that they were driving like 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
It would have felt like 90 probably.
And what I like too is that they completely cut his dialogue out.
Yeah.
Of the entire thing. You don't hear him muttering to himself or yelling at himself. It's just and then, when you see things like when he almost hits that baby carriage, you see the terror in his face as he swerves and everything.
Yeah. And he slams into like the barrier or the dumpster or whatever it was.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot. I mean, most of the classic movies have that one scene, and this is that one scene.
Yeah.
I do want to know though, how the hell do you drive such long cars? And they're all long. That's the thing. This is 1971. Those cars they're like a city block long.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that Lincoln that they took apart, like that would have taken you like several days to take apart because the thing is like 20 miles long. I'm
amazed they get that thing put back together so fast.
There were a lot of like kind of weird time dilation things. Like my Popeye runs to the top of the tower, sees the gun, sees the guy running, then managed to run all the way back down. He's only like half a block behind him.
Yeah. Well, he's not stunned with cigarettes like French cigarettes like the other guy is.
Yeah. He's like, his blood is alcoholic.
But I remember watching the first time I watched The French Connection, just having that oh my god moment when they're tearing the car apart and they're not fine. I mean, they went soup to nuts and they never thought to check the rocker boards.
Honestly, I think that would have been one of the first places I would have recommended.
Well, I mean, it's just one of those things. You don't know how much space is in there.
Yeah.
I mean, again, cars are as wide as a city block, so sure.
And if it wasn't for Cloudy, they never would have found it. See, better
true.
crowd.
Yeah, and that was I love that though because it was such a great way of just like you get that aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I, I will say, like, it felt like they were trying to do a very realistic version of just like a police procedural, because they're spending them all night like on watching this one car just sitting in their car cramped cold.
yeah,
And I'm like, it's a very realistic police procedural, which doesn't always make for great cinema.
yeah, I can understand that.
I
It's
mean,
again, had we seen this with 1971 eyes,
yeah,
this would be something we would still be talking about to our kids and grandkids today. It's like, oh, I remember going to the movies with the grandma to go see The French Connection. I was just couldn't take my eyes off of it. I can understand that.
I mean,
And I think in terms of 70s cop procedurals, never mind the Academy Awards, never mind the fact this won Best Picture, but just an overall cop procedurals for the 1970s, this one cannot be beat.
Yeah. But much like with The Exorcist, the first like hour and 15 minutes of this movie, nothing really happens. Everything happens in the last maybe half hour. Same here, same Exorcist as well.
Yeah.
I hear the cat.
Yeah, they're chasing each other right now. I think you might have gotten some of the foam that goes into the insulation. Fantastic. So silly things. So yeah, but I mean, overall, I just, this is a fun movie. I mean, this is definitely a dad movie. This is definitely a movie that you sit down, you grab a cheap beer, and you just sit. You're like, look at Popeye shaking these guys down.
It's something I would want to watch again, but it's not something I would watch for entertainment value. It's more of watching for because it's a classic.
Yeah.
More so than it is a good movie, as much as I hate to say.
Yeah. And, to me, I think this movie is definitely a 4.5 star. For me, it's a 4.5 star movie because it emulates a lot of what I love about this era of cinema. And what the interesting with this too is when you think also going back to like the 70s cop dramas of the 70s, there is no message in this movie.
No,
there's not even a drugs are bad message in this movie. It's just two cops trying to take down a drug dealer.
And honestly, it doesn't even really work out too well for them.
No, and that's the funny thing too. That is a Rocky ending before Rocky even came out.
Yeah, I mean, for one, I was kind of pissed off with that gunshot that it ends with, because he walks in, you hear a gunshot, you're like, oh no, did he get shot? Did he shoot the bad guy? And then you see, no, he was fine. They got reassigned. The bad guy was fine. He got away. Yeah, the gunshot was absolutely pointless.
I think it was just one of those, the ending blew my mind when I first watched it. I think that it's, I didn't have a problem with that because you could see, you probably was getting away, but they had to let you know what happened. So here's one of my biggest complaints about the movie: the blood.
It is very vibrant blood.
It is very vibrant. Blood. For a movie that is this realistic, it's like you couldn't have just tested out the squibs with darker fluid. I mean, is it?
It looked like they used tomato paste.
It did. And what's interesting too is just kind of like how they were shooting people too. It's like you get that one transit cop takes one in the hip, the other guy gets shot in the chest. Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, definitely, it's Dawn of the Dead blood. And then I felt bad for the guy driving the train. He just keels over of a heart attack. Your timing couldn't be any worse.
No. Who had the worst timing in this movie? The old woman that would happen to walk in front of Doyle.
Oh yeah.
Sniper shot.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, dude, sucks to be her.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, just I really enjoyed. I mean, there's so many little great things about this movie. That cat and mouse scene
Oh,
that they have
yeah.
with the subway, just getting on, getting off, getting on, getting off, and then
And
he
the fact
just
yeah. Oh, and the fact that like they both knew that each other knew they knew who they were and they knew what they was doing, but they
yeah.
were pretending not to. It was just
But he was
very
onto
acting.
it, and that was the best part, though, is just that little wave.
And I did like it when Doyle hit that at the back.
Oh yeah,
the end.
yeah.
But seriously, what you let them like no, you surround the building. You don't.
I know, but again, this is based on the true story. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, and I haven't seen The French Connection too.
I haven't. Well, obviously, I haven't either. I've actually heard. I was doing some research before this, and I guess it's not awful. Apparently, it's not. It's not one of those like cheap, cash grab sequels.
Right.
But it is completely fabricated. It's not even based on a real story.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Doyle goes to France
to
go find him. Nobody else returned from the original movie.
No, just the guy who played Charnier,
right,
and Doyle.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Roy Scheider would have come back, but he was doing some movie about a weird shark. I don't know.
That turned out for him, huh?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I'm glad you finally got a chance to watch it. So now you get that out of your system.
Although I did think of a couple of MST3K references for this.
Oh, no.
Well, one, I blame this movie for Mitchell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mitchell, very gritty cop drama guy, not a likable guy, trying to bust some heroin smugglers.
Racist alcoholic who
who bangs hookers. and two, this was going through my mind during the scene where Doyle is just watching them eat in that restaurant.
Yeah.
The ending part and the ending host segment to Fire Maids from Outer Space. They're like, cut to the astronauts. They're sitting around for a while. Cut to the people at NASA. They're still sitting around for a while. Cut back to astronauts. They're still sitting around. I was thinking that same thing.
My God, no! Baby oil, no!
But I was thinking that same thing. Is like, cut to Doyle. He's standing on the sidewalk. Cut to the French people.
Yeah.
They're eating dinner. Come back to Doyle. He's still standing on the sidewalk. Come back to the French. They're still eating dinner. It's like, this movie could have cut out 15 minutes easily.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, too, this movie doesn't exceed 2 hours.
No, it's like an hour and 50 minutes.
It's an hour and 45.
Yeah.
You know what the funny thing is? My introduction to this movie was the Mad Magazine parody.
Oh.
So I got this collection of Mort Drucker movie parodies that he had done, and this was one of them. And it's just because Mort Drucker did a really great job, like emulating the actors and everything. And it's just watching, the whole scene at the very beginning with Popeye at the Santa outfit.
Oh, yeah.
And, Cloudy at the hot dog stand.
And then that severe beating of their suspect.
Oh, my God. So I looked up the reasoning why, the meaning behind you pick your feet Poughkeepsie.
I did hear about this, yeah.
Yeah. It was to throw off people. Because they could say a whole bunch of stuff because they knew the questions that you were going to ask.
Oh. Yeah, while listening to the Cinephiles, they said something else about that one.
What did they say?
Apparently, like a few years prior in New York, there was like a really vicious rape case. Oh. And I guess the suspect had actually it was in Poughkeepsie, and the suspect had picked his toes while the woman was still there.
No.
And so, like, I guess the theory is that Doyle said that because, like, they would confess to anything else because that would be a much worse crime.
Yeah, yeah. The thing I read said it was saying that it was primarily, it was a way to throw them off balance, because they can answer, where'd you get your drugs from, and they can make up any story they want. You throw that at them, but all of a sudden they're like, wait a second, why are you asking me about this? And it could very well tie to that.
Oh yeah, I mean, both options could be true.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm glad you watched it.
Yeah, I would give it 2.5, 3 stars, maybe. Okay. Like I said, it was a good movie. It's just not my taste, and I'm not. William Friedkin is iffy for me. And plus, I've heard he is just an absolute ass of a director.
Terror to work with. Yeah, he was a terror to work with. I think this might have been the easiest shoot he ever had. And realistically speaking, after Exodus, I mean, his career just takes a slide. Exodus. I mean, if you go and you look at that, I mean, this next big movie was Sorcerer. Night. Hold on a sec.
Sure.
Do you see anything there of any note from Friedkin? Oh, you know what he did direct, though, that I really liked was To Live and Die in L.A.
I was just about to bring that one up.
Yep. Great movie that everybody thinks was directed by Michael Mann.
I've heard Blue Chips is actually pretty well respected.
Yeah. I don't remember one way or another there. Yeah, he did Cruising, which is really problematic.
Al Pacino, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely been. Oh, he did Jade.
Oh, I've heard that is absolutely awful.
Yeah. So there's a lot of. I mean, I really think that he had 2 amazing years in 71 and 73.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I guess they hired him on for this because he was a good documentary filmmaker.
Yeah. Blue Chips is a solid movie because it's based. Okay, it's based in Indiana. All right, Kurt, that's fair. Fair enough. You will never hear me boost up the movie Celtic Pride, though. That movie's terrible.
Okay. That's something I would think I would watch. So.
No.
I'm still surprised that I've seen Fever Pitch.
Yeah, not great. The British version is way better.
Oh, I didn't even know it was.
It's based on a Colin Firth movie where he is a huge Arsenal fan.
Oh well, it's kind of hard to top Colin Firth, especially when you're
Jimmy Fallon. Yeah. So, all right. So, but anyway, I really enjoyed this one. I'm glad you gave it a view.
I'm glad I have seen it. It's one I have been wanting to get around to.
And then, so with that said, next week we're actually going to go back in time. We're going to move from the 70s to the 90s.
Yep.
With a Best Picture winner there, so that'll be fun.
Oh well, I wasn't sure if you wanted to say what it was or not.
I think we could say it. We're going to be talking about Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah. In honor of Valentine's Day.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great day for Valentine's. We never do Valentine's Day shows, so it's perfect. Yeah. The last time we did a Valentine's Day show, we talked about Deadpool,
which is a very good Valentine's Day
movie. Yeah, it's a romantic movie. Yes, so it's not a superhero movie. It's a love story.
Yeah.
So anyway, what are your thoughts on The Exorcist? Where does this rank? Do you think that this deserves to win Best Picture over such luminaries like Fiddler on the Roof or Clockwork Orange or The Last Picture Show? No one's going to say Nicholas and Alexandra. So what's that?
French Connection.
Yeah, what did I say? That's just, God damn it. All right. Sorry. So yeah, we want to know your thoughts on the French Connection. You can leave a polite comment below. If you're new to the channel, hey, welcome. Subscribe so you get every episode every week, and you can go back and check out our entire archive. Give it a like too. It helps us in the algorithm. Thank you. It's down here somewhere.
Yeah.
It depends on what device you're using. We also, Mike and I host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts. I'm not even going to list them anymore because they all seem to be going away. We will have a new episode coming out very soon.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to get to editing it. I've been busy.
Yeah, he's got a working computer now, so he can do it as well.
This was like I had to have a working computer by the time we do music. So you'll be in for a treat for that 2-parter. It's also to make up for all that lost time that we had from January when I was doing something rotten. So you got that. If you want to follow us on the socials, we are on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast and at Geek Salad Radio on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads. So until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth, Andy Nerdful. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You pick your